To start with, I think I'm the odd one out here. Firstly, I would like to thank the AMA Group and the trustees of Vidya Vagni Trust Odisha in giving me this excellent opportunity. And my complete thanks to my revered spiritual Guru Swamiji Ananda Chaitanya in enabling me to share this dais with some prestigious politicians, speakers, and great minds who have shaped this country to where we are today. So, my humble thanks for that. Now, the topic, exit polls, a boon or bane to democracy. So let me try to start by deconstructing the topic that's been given. Boon or bane. These are two extremes in the spectrum. So a boon is something that is divine, heavenly, given to the seeker by the Lord. Okay, it is as important as that, with which anything can be accomplished. And a curse, as we know in the Puranas, there are a lot of references where even the righteous of kings or warriors or sages after a curse have become nothing. Now, this exit poll, is it as divine as a blessing, like a boon, or is it a curse which is going to destroy our country or our democratic framework, is what we are going to look at. To start with, I would like to go through the scientific process or the process based on which exit polls or opinion polls work today. So, exit polls, very simply taken after the election is conducted, while opinion polls or surveys are conducted much prior to the election. So this is the basic fundamental difference. But the process that's been used in order to conduct both of this is pretty much same. It uses random sampling. We, as you know, are a very large democracy, and one of the most looked after democracies by many countries in the world. For the United States of America, which is the country that's been looked upon by most of the world, the biggest power, India is the democracy which they look up to see how democracy can function. So that's how big a democracy we are. So in such a democracy, which is spanning about greater than 500 constituencies in our country, with more than billions of electorate participating in this, in each of these constituencies, we are talking of a random sample of X number of people who are going to give either their opinion poll prior to the election or your exit poll verdict after you voted. A small sample of people. How is this going to work? Considering that we are a large democracy. So that's one of the points that I want to put forward. The next is, we have more than 500 constituencies, right? Are we going to do this sampling in all these 500 plus constituencies? No. So even there we select certain constituencies where this is conducted and then look at the exit poll or the opinion poll results. So that's another point. We are too large again. Then, from the constituencies that get selected today, let's say we select 200 plus constituencies, what is the selection process? How do we know that these are the constituencies where we need to conduct our exit polls or our opinion polls? For example, if it is a homeland to BJP or a homeland to Congress, and if we were to go and conduct a pre-opinion poll there, we are pretty much sure that the output of this opinion poll is going to be skewed or biased. Where can the fairness come from? So this is another question. So then they came up with a little bit of framework to say, let's look at marginal constituencies where there are no favored majorities. It's not a homeland to either BJP, Congress, BJD or whoever. Let's take marginal constituencies. So that again means a very small sample of the entire population to which we are trying to cater to. Then, our democracy is not just large as what is looked as by the outside world. Like I come from a country called Singapore. Okay, it's a multi-party country, and democracy, okay, or they call democracy, which I am not completely agreeable to. But let's take a more better example, maybe UK or the British. That's a democracy with two parties, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. And you will be surprised to know at every point of time, their exit poll verdict and the election verdict has matched. And the hit rate is close to 90+%. So that's a simple democracy, a simple structured democracy where the output of your exit polls match. But ours is a very complex democracy. How do we handle alliances? That's what forms our governments today. It could be a homeland of BJP, but would BJP be forming the government with just them, even in their homeland? Multiple alliances. Similarly, Congress. So how would your opinion poll or exit poll take care of these kind of complexities? That's another important point that I would want you to look at. The next thing so now that we've looked at how this process works, the next thing is to just do a comparative study between the opinion poll and the exit poll. Though the topic says only exit polls, my idea here is to see what is best for the nation or from an electoral viewpoint. Now, if you take an opinion poll, let's say it's conducted, one of the major disadvantages is that the voter turnout. So 5 months before the election, I could say, yes, this is what I'm going to vote for. But I could be, at the end of the day, the person who doesn't even turn out to the election booth to cast my vote. That's one point. But in the case of an exit poll, that's not a problem because they voted and they've come out and they're telling you something. So that's, in one way, an exit poll turns out to be a hand up or better. The next thing is volatile voting intentions. So yes, 6 months back, everyone thought, be it Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh, or at least I thought, but there are more seniors here and experts here, but still that's what I thought, that it's going to be a cakewalk for BJP. But just a small twist in the tail, a waiver of all the farmer loans has changed everything. So what would that opinion poll which was conducted 6 months back today look like? It looks like a fool today because of this changing voter intention and because of some political parties making certain promises. So this is the second point that we need to look at. The third is, from a cost perspective, again, exit polls are much cheaper because opinion polls are more conducted, have to be conducted door to door, and so it's costlier as well. So there again, opinion polls don't work. But in an exit poll, what would be one disadvantage is that though we know that the person has casted the vote, for a fear of failure of democracy, which is quite high in our country, to be very honest to say, people might not reflect their true intention. They might have casted their vote to somebody, but what they reflect outside could be different. So that's a real problem that we could see in an exit poll conducted. And the next thing is opinion polls. These are conducted by media. And today, whether we like it or not, everyone knows that every media channel represents some party or the other or a group of parties. So again, how clear are we that the intention of the opinion poll conducted is fair or true? And we know it very clear that we've seen many a times where the opinion poll verdict and finally what comes after the election, they don't match at all. The variance can be 5%, 10%, but cannot be greater than 50, 60%. That means you have genuinely tried to drive the agenda of your party through this concept of exit poll or opinion poll that is there today. So that again leads to a question of fairness. Where is that fairness? With this, just want to highlight on some economic movements as well. So these are all the social impact. From an economic impact perspective, very clearly the markets move. The Sensex or our Nifty, based on the opinion poll verdict, varies left, right and center. The difference becomes much higher based on an opinion or an exit poll verdict. As a result of which there are huge economic losses, companies tumble and stuff like that. So again, based on some non-factual output, there is real economic depression that gets potentially created as well. So with all this being there, this is my conclusion, an outright conclusion. We could have electoral reforms or guidelines to streamline exit polls or opinion polls. But in my view, I think it is high time for us to get out of it and rather conduct qualitative assessments from the electorate in terms of what led them to vote for a particular party or what beliefs they would vote for a particular party. So the mode in which the electorate are involved in an election, leaving aside exit polls or opinion polls, is the way to see some qualitative improvement through a scientific process. This is my conclusion. Thank you again. Thanks for this opportunity.